So the Switch 2 dropped, and I found a ton of accessories to get the most out of it. First, we're gonna start off with the essentials. So for me, one of the most important things on this list is actually this guy. If you have a Nintendo Switch, chances are you're gonna wanna get more storage, but you need a specific kind of storage, and that's a micro SD express card. Now this is different from the other micro SD cards out there. The Switch 2 requires a much faster card, and that's what this is. Now I, like most people who didn't know that the Switch 2 required this, bought like a bunch of micro SD cards off of Amazon, went for 1 terabyte because I wanted as much storage as possible, but these are not compatible at all. To give you guys some perspective, this has a read speed of like about 200 megabytes versus almost 900 over here. So with the Switch 2 being a newer, more powerful system, you'll want to get the right cards, and they have to have this little EX over here or Express on it. But if you're somebody who prefers physical games over digital, chances are you're gonna want one of these. This is a game card holder, and I actually really like this one because it holds quite a few games, and it has like this really nice, easy to carry around form factor, has magnets to keep it nice and shut, keep all your cards safe, and it even holds micro SD cards underneath any of these. So I'm not sure why you would need space for more SD cards, but it's there. And the Switch 2 doesn't have a ton of physical games right now, but if you are a Nintendo Switch owner and you do have Nintendo Switch games, you can put them inside of here as well and carry them around with your Switch 2, because the Switch 2 is backwards compatible. And if you happen to have a really big collection, you can grab one of these guys, which looks like a Nintendo 3DS to be honest, and you get a lot more card space. Both of these are solid. Now a big essential for me is a screen protector. So Spigen actually makes their tempered glass screen protectors with the easy application. I already used one on this, and they've got this foolproof system to apply your tempered glass screen protector. All you really have to do is plop it down, take your JoyCons off, and then you drop it in place. Easiest way to apply a screen protector ever. And I always use Spigen screen protectors, so absolutely recommend this. I'm gonna give this one to Ari for her Switch. And you get 2 inside of here in case you somehow mess it up. Now, what feels like another essential to me are some thumb grips for your JoyCons. Now, this is from JSOX or JSO, whatever, I don't know how to pronounce it. This is a must for me for 2 reasons. One, it changes the way the JoyCons joysticks feel. So if you don't exactly like the kind of dome thing that the JoyCons have going on, these add like ridges to it. So it completely changes the feel as you're playing and can make it more comfortable. And they have like different options depending on what you like. So if you happen to like the little ridges and bumps in the center to give it more grip, they have that option here. Or if you want something that's maybe a little bit taller, you can pick and choose. I went for like the more standard one with the ridges on the sides. Now, this is great because, like I said, it changes how it feels to actually game on this, but it also protects the joystick. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I've thrown my Switch in my backpack before without any kind of protection, and the rubber on the joysticks started getting destroyed. So now I am always going to have one of these on at all times, and it just overall feels better. Listen, if you're not walking around with this in some kind of travel case, you need to get the screen protector, and I highly suggest getting some grips. And speaking of grips, this is the Spigen Rugged Armor grip case for the Switch 2. So this one I love. So you easily pop it right in, and it completely changes the feel of the Switch. You get these larger grips in the back, so it'll just completely change the ergonomics. Feels a lot more comfortable. Not to mention you get that extra durability and protection from having this on. It's got a cool look. You know, they've got like these little carbon fiber pieces to it. I think it looks pretty dope. But the only thing is, when you have it inside of this, you're fully dedicating yourself to going full handheld mode because you don't have access to the kickstand, and you also aren't able to take out your JoyCons. So if you're somebody who games like this majority of the time, which I happen to be, then you don't have to worry about that. But if you are, you gotta keep that in mind. Now, you probably saw earlier in the video, I had a completely different looking Switch. That's because of these guys over here. This is also from Spigen. They're not sponsoring this video, but this is actually really cool. This is made out of like a plastic material, but it easily gets onto your Switch, throw on your JoyCons, And they've even got like these little adhesives over here to make sure everything stays in place. Got this for the kickstand. And just like that, you've got a completely different looking Switch. I think it looks dope. They actually have a few different color options, but I like this because it also changes the grip up a little bit as well. It adds a little bit of grip over here onto the Joy-Cons. It sucks that you won't see the Nintendo Switch 2 over here, but it's not a big deal. But overall, you get all the same functionality, and it's so compact on the Switch that you can still use your dock when you're playing. So you don't have to worry about taking this off every time you want to dock up and play on your TV. You can just pop it right inside. And when you pop off the Joy-Cons, I mean, check this out. This looks so good. So Spigen did a really good job with this one, but if you want something a little bit more muted, I think they have it in gray, but this one I think is like a special edition. I think it looks dope. Now I know we've been talking a lot about grips, but maybe you want a different kind of controller experience altogether, and that's where these come in. So first up is the Switch 2 Pro controller, and while this is just like, you know, a standard Nintendo accessory, they actually did some really great improvements to it. This thing feels like butter. It is so nice to play on this. It's a really good feeling controller, and they added the extra Pro buttons or grip buttons in the back. It is a really, really comfortable controller, so I do recommend this. So let's say you don't want to use Nintendo's controller and you happen to own a PS5. You can actually use your DualSense controller with the Switch 2, but you will need an adapter for something like that. This one is from 8BitDo. This is great because all it takes is this little guy, and you will need an adapter for your adapter over here. Plug this in, or you can just use it with the dock right onto the Switch, and then you can pair your DualSense controller to the Switch, and then boom, you're controlling it all from your DualSense controller. So this could potentially be a much cheaper option if you already own a PS5. I feel like 8BitDo should come out with a USB-C version. Like, why not? Probably because they only expect people to play it with the dock. But this is dope. I can use my favorite controller with the Switch. And while we're on the subject of controllers, over here we've got some adapters. This one is from JSO and some random one I found on Amazon, but it's actually quite comfortable. So you know, with the Switch, you can pop the Joy-Cons off and then you can have multiple people playing at the same time. So if you want to have that multiplayer experience, and you can take your controller and then boom, you're able to just use this as a single controller. Like I said, these are great for multiplayer games. Me and Ari want to go ahead and play It Takes Two. We can both have our controllers in hand with what feels like a full controller experience because it's not so small. But if we're playing something like, I don't know, Mario Kart, we can throw this in here. And this one you can see is shaped more like a steering wheel. So you can game on this as well. I actually like this combo when I'm steering with the motion controls, but there are other bigger steering adapters if you're interested in that. Some with like a full-blown steering wheel versus this, what's this called, Oscar?
It's yoke.
A yoke, yes. Look at me, I should know this. So if you're playing something like Mario Kart, this kind of adds to the experience instead of holding on to like that small Joy-Con. I am not good with the motion controllers though, I will say. All in all, if you plan on playing like local multiplayer games on the Switch, I definitely recommend these two. So we talked a lot about ergonomics and changing the way it feels to game, but here's something I found that changes the way it feels to game when you just want to relax. So this right here is a cushion I found on Amazon, and it actually is really comfortable to play the Switch 2 with this. I'm always playing handheld systems, and while it's really no big deal to just kind of game like this, it feels a lot more comfortable to game on something like this. Because this right here, it props up your arms, gives your hands a place to rest, and you're able to just, you know, like I said, game comfortably. It's not anything super crazy or mind-blowing. It's just functional, and it's actually really, really comfortable. You can probably just bust out your laptop on here as well, or maybe a tablet, a book. This is just like a really nice to have for the couch, like, you know, a little couch buddy. And if this is like where you always go to play your Switch, when you're done, it has a little pocket, you can kind of throw it right there, or maybe have a portable charger on the side. It has like these pockets, or I don't know, snacks. I was just about to say, you get snacks, maybe a little drinky drink, you'd be all right. Now with the Switch 2, it's actually really easy to pair some Bluetooth headphones or earbuds up to the system so you can game with your headphones on. And I've been enjoying using these guys right here. These are the ROG Cetra truly wireless earbuds. They're not the most amazing earbuds in the world, but for a pair of gaming earbuds, these are specifically made for gaming, they're pretty solid. Now you can pair something like your AirPods to your Switch. I personally don't like having to go back and forth and repairing all that stuff. So having a dedicated pair of Bluetooth earbuds I can take on the go has actually been really nice. These are cool because they have active noise canceling. I think they have like an ambient mode as well, which is actually pretty trash, I'm not gonna lie. But for the most part, you do have that active noise canceling. The fit is personally great for me. I have no problem keeping these in my ears, and I usually have tons of problems in that category. And it comes with a nice compact traveling case. It looks awesome. It comes in black. I think they're about 80 something bucks on Amazon right now. They use USB-C and they have really good battery life. So I definitely recommend these. Next up, we're gonna talk a little bit about power. This guy right here is the Anker 165 watt portable charger. Now, I'll tell you guys right now, this is the GOAT of portable chargers. Like, I've never seen one better than this. So this one has a 25,000 milliamp hour battery. Basically, that's a lot. And it supports up to 165 watts of charging. That is crazy fast. That is a lot of juice. But it also has other great features built into it, like a built-in screen, so you can see just how much power you've got left. You can actually cycle through it to see all kinds of information. You can see like your temperature, your battery health, and when you're actually charging, you get to see the charging speeds, all of that. But you also get a built-in retractable USB-C cable, which is mind-blowing. But you don't only get one, you also get this one. So the little loop on the side is actually a USB-C cable. So you have a total of 2 over here, as well as another USB-C port and a USB-A port. To have this large battery capacity, as well as the fast charging speeds and 2 built-in cables in a form factor that is not that large, and not to mention it's powerful enough to charge up your Switch. You can actually use this to power the dock as well. So as long as you have your HDMI cable, you've got this, you can get a whole docked Switch setup going, maybe like in a hotel room or something. This thing is the absolute best. And I feel like we've got like 4 of them in here now. I won't go anywhere without this. Now, speaking of the dock, while the Switch does come with a charging brick and, USB-C cable, if you like to use the dock, chances are you might not want to always unplug it if you want to take your Switch on the go. You want to just kind of leave it there. If you want to have another charging option, you've got these over here. This is a cool charging brick from Ugreen. It is a 65 watt charger, so that means it's fast. And it has 3 USB ports, 2 USB-C, and a USB-A, so you can charge 3 devices at once. The headphones that are on this little robot, it actually makes taking this in and out any wall really easy. And if you need a USB-C cable, I'm also a fan of these USB-C cables that have an OLED screen to let you know how fast it's charging, just to make sure you can see that it's actually doing what it's supposed to do and, charging at the right speeds. Now let's talk about some really fun accessories, but not necessarily essentials to the Switch. First things first, we've got Nintendo's own camera. Now this is actually kind of cool. We've seen cameras for like PS4, PS5, and Xbox, but none of them have the social aspect that the Switch does when it comes to actual gaming. Now, of course, there's like online multiplayer for games, but you're not seeing each other's faces with that camera. I mean, the Nintendo has Mario Party Jamboree, which is gonna have integrated use of the camera so you can see each other while you're gaming. It takes the whole social gaming to another level in ways that we know other consoles just don't do besides like voice chat. And it's gonna be interesting. Maybe some developers might take advantage of the whole camera system and incorporating it into the gameplay like they will with Mario Party. But this might be a nice fun to have, especially if you like to play with people who maybe might not be in the same room as you. And speaking of social gaming, maybe you're a streamer. Maybe you like socializing with folks who watch you play games. Genki actually has some really dope options for folks who want to share their gameplay online, or maybe even just record themselves as they play. So this right here is the Genki Shadowcast 2, and this plugs right into the dock through the HDMI port, and then using the USB-C port, you can plug this into your computer. And using like the Genki Arcade or maybe OBS, you can actually record your gameplay right to your computer. With the arcade software, you can record your gameplay and commentary all in one spot. But with the Shadowcast 2 Pro, you're able to output 4K 60, which we know the Switch 2 is capable of. And it has an extra HDMI slot, so it has HDMI pass-through. So if you're worried about latency or anything like that, you're able to get a little bit more out of this compared to this guy. But if you're just like a casual streamer, maybe you're just getting into it or something, the Shadowcast 2 is the easy recommendation. And this guy, obviously, if you're taking it more seriously, like a pro. Now, while perusing Amazon for accessories, I actually stumbled across this thing over here. This is the Joy Fusion NFC emulator. You can actually load NFC files onto this and then just use them right on your Switch. If you don't care to own the amiibo yourself, you just want the item that you can get in the game, you can pretty much use this to go ahead and get the item. And the crazy thing is that it comes with a bunch of files already loaded onto it. So I'll show you guys how it works. So let's say you're playing a game like Smash, you can go into this, and once you're ready, put it here. And just like that, we've got our amiibo character. But yeah, this is pretty cool. I'm not saying anybody should go out and purchase this kind of thing. You know, I thought it was interesting. And lastly, for the folks who want to take their Switch 2 around, because that's what it's all about, it's portable, I got some case options for you. So these guys right here are some hard shell flat carrying cases. This one is actually from Nintendo. This is cool because it has like the Joy-Con colors on the zippers, but it's just your standard carrying case, like nothing special. You throw your Switch in there, boom, you're done. This is the type of thing you get, so you just throw it into your backpack, forget about it. You don't have to worry about it getting beat up. I like this because of how slim it is, but I will say you can still press those Joy-Con joysticks, so something to keep in mind because it's not a super hard shell carrying case. It does have this little flap though, if you want to carry around like a USB-C cable, and it can hold a couple of games. Spigen also has an option like this, but this is a harder shell case, and it's got this here. So this is cool because you can just go around and carry it, but it also adds another layer of protection so that it doesn't unzip or open up or even take up too much space. So that's a cool little handle. And when you open it, you can throw your Switch right inside of here. Now you can see this is made to hold the Switch, and you also have that cover with some more game slots, and you even have this part right here so you can throw in like an air tag in case you misplace it. You'll know exactly where to find it. And this is harder to press those buttons. Probably won't press it much inside of your bag. Now I really like Spigen's. It is slightly thicker than the Nintendo option, but honestly, this is probably what's gonna be in my backpack over anything else. Now, if you don't want a hard shell carrying case, maybe you want something that's more like a sling, you can check out these options also from Spigen. Dang, Spigen, they're not even a sponsor in this one. But anyway, they've got a really nice travel carrying bag. Now this is a fully dedicated like travel sling. So you can throw your Switch in here obviously, but it also has like pockets for other things like a charger, phone. It also has these little straps. So if you want to put like, I don't know, a carabiner clip of some sort onto this, you can. You got this pocket up front, a clip for your keys. Well, this is meant to be more of like, I'm taking all of my stuff with me, including my Switch. This is just like an everyday carry kind of thing. You also have this slot in the back. Maybe if you have something a little bit more sensitive you want to keep hidden, you can put it back there, and then boom, like you've got this sling, so you can just kind of take all of your stuff, including your Switch with you. And I think it even has like this little fancy bottle opener. This is actually a really nice bag. Spigen doesn't really make bags like that. So this is cool. Like, I legitimately like this, and that's why it's here. But if this is maybe too big for what you're trying to do, TomTalk has a cool bag. This one's a bit more dedicated to the Switch. You have this slot right here that you can throw your game into, and then you've got this Velcro strap to make sure it doesn't fall out or anything. You also have slots for your games, so you can put them in here. You've got like this pocket for things like a charger, or even this one over here. And you can put your portable charger over here. So you have options for all of your power accessories. I actually took this thing with me on a trip recently, and it worked out really well. Like, you can carry it around like this. You've got the strap over here, so you kind of keep it on your person. So however you want to wear it, I think TomTalk did a really good job with this one. So if you just want to have something smaller, but more dedicated to the Switch, this thing is dope. That's everything. That is a comprehensive list of all of the accessories you'll need or want to get the most out of your Nintendo Switch 2 experience. This is for all the parents out there who know they want to get their kids a Switch for, I don't know, graduation, maybe down the line to the holidays, but you don't know what to get with it. You're welcome. But that about wraps it up for this video, guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Everything will be linked down below in the description. Peace.